Welcome back to the studio. This is D1 Rejects, and I am your host, Kobe Manzo, joined today, not by myself today, actually. Kate is back. And who's that in the chair next to you?
That is Mr. D1 Reject himself.
Oh, the merchandise. Hello.
Should I get up and hold it, or what?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. I'm rocking the gray. As you can see, rocking the gray shirt. Probably my favorite. But Kate will give a quick demo here. Black and white t-shirts now available in the store. What do we think? The white's not bad. Yep, that's good. That's good. Oh, yeah. A little overexposed in the camera there, but not bad at all. Huh? There it is, better on that one. There we go. Hold up the black real quick. The black is might be my favorite. The gray is me. I think I'm with the gray, but let's see this third option. We got a good episode for you today. I promise it's more than just shameless self-endorsement. But hey, we get into when we can. Oh, that's beautiful. Gosh, that is gorgeous, isn't it? But big episode today. Today is June 12th, episode 102. We're in the three digits. It's so sweet to say that every time. Konnor Near joins us today. This is a guy that I've wanted to get on the show for quite some time now. The All-American Division II linebacker from Ferris State, entered the transfer portal after spring ball, was fielding offers from West Virginia, Michigan State, Duke, Texas Tech, ends up at Oklahoma in the Big 12. Huge jump for the kid. Absolutely excited for him. I just told Kay, we wrapped up that conversation, and one of my favorite guests to date on this show. So remember, if you're on YouTube, timestamps, bottom of the video, you can fast forward right to that conversation if you don't want to hear me bicker anymore, but I promise we got more good stuff for you. We'll talk with him all about making the jump from D2 football to Power 5. On the NFL side of things, pro football, where's D-Hop going? We don't know. Nobody does. We're going to speculate just like every other talking head on the internet, right? That'll be pretty quick. The XFL lost $60 million in year one.
Yeah, I saw Dwayne The Rock Johnson tweet about it.
Jesus, man.
I mean, that's steep.
60 mil?
He's pulling that out of his ass.
Well, when you have the Terramana business just taking off, you can afford a couple of those losses. And remember, he's not the only guy. There's like a whole...
but he's a talking head.
He is kind of the public figure, but the woman, gosh, and I'm blanking on her name. I'll remember when we get to the topic. She is really, I think, the spearhead of the whole project. Yeah. Now, they have funding for years to come, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Tampa Bay is bringing back the Creamsicle jerseys.
And they're wearing against the Lions. Of course.
That's going to be brutal.
I'm gonna be pissed.
I'm assuming it's a home game, too. It has to be a home game.
Yeah, I'm going to be pissed watching that game.
We're going to take a look at the Creamsicles a little bit later. And
Kyle Trask running up and down the field in the Creamsicle.
In the spirit of new looks and new logos, Browns.
He's not in the Falcons, is he?
Yeah, he is. Tampa Bay. Yeah, because it's him and Baker. Could be Baker.
Yeah.
Is he still signed? We'll talk about it later. But the Browns have a brand new Bulldog logo, which is a dog. It is sick. It is really dope. We're going to take a look at that. They just announced that on Twitter, I think, a little bit earlier. Finally, on the D2, D3 side of things, we're going to take a closer look at the White House visits from Ferris State and North Central. They were honored at the College Athlete Day today at the White House. There's a pretty funny reason why Joe Biden actually couldn't attend that. I'm not sure if you saw that. You didn't? We'll talk about it later. How was that? It's pretty good.
Why?
It's funny. I don't want to say it right now. They got to listen to hear it.
Serving ice cream or something?
chocolate chip. It does have something to do potentially with eating ice cream.
No, it doesn't.
It does. I put my merch on it. It does.
Merch it?
Chocolate chip. Merch it. Otherwise, you can watch this episode on YouTube. Like I said, if you are, use the timestamps. Bottom of the video, fast forward to any part. And listen pretty much anywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Follow us on Twitter, D1_Rejects. On Instagram, at Division1 Rejects. Both those platforms have been taken off. Absolutely taken off the last couple of weeks. I'm super pumped about it. We feel like we're getting a pretty substantial following. Instagram for sure. Popping off. But this conversation is going to be popping off. Let's go to the talk with Konnor Near. Joining the show tonight, All-American linebacker from Ferris State, back-to-back D2 national champion, and a man who just joined the Sooners, the fucking Sooners, down in the great state of Oklahoma. It's Konnor Near. Konnor, what's going on, man?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be on the show. I've been a fan for a long time, and everything that you guys are kind of doing for football, it's kind of our own little world, and you put like the best light on it that I've seen.
Hell yeah.
I'm stoked to be here.
Damn, we're ripping promos right off the bat. I love it, dude. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Easy.
Really, though, I appreciate that. I was telling you before we started, I'm sure you've been seeing all the White House visit content today from the Ferris State crew. Did you see the one? We're going to pull up the picture after this conversation. I might have it on hand. I'm not sure. But Anise in that in the poncho.
Yeah. There's some great pictures of that man over the years.
Was comedy, dude.
Add another one to the collection.
He seems like a character. That one rivals the big cowboy hat as soon as they got down. You guys got down to Texas this last year down to McKinney.
Oh, yeah. We recreated that one. We did it like back-to-back years with the same picture, like hat and stuff. But
imagine that, just going back down there and just recreating it for the hell of it. You know what I mean? That's funny. But, you know, you said it when I first reached out to you to get you on the show, and you were like, man, like, love to come on, but just got to wait till all this shit settles down, right? That was kind of the main gist of it. And I read, you know, I do a little reading, I do a little research, and you had a quote, you called it the most stressful week of your life at one point. From announcing that you were going into the portal to finally finding your landing spot down in Norman. But talk about that, dude. Why was it the most stressful week of your life? I mean, I get it, but talk about it for people who might not understand.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I'm not a dude that goes around and talks to a bunch of people. And I think my phone, I had to put it on Do Not Disturb, like, at all hours just because it was too much. On the phone constantly with coaches and just – so that was right at the beginning. And then after that kind of calmed down and I kind of narrowed out, okay, I'm going to visit here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Then it's like, okay, every decision I make and every person I meet, like, is going to affect the outcome of my life. Like, it's the biggest life decision I made in the past 4 years. Kind of. It's deciding where to go the first time around. So it's just, there was a lot to take in such a short amount of time, honestly.
Yeah, I believe that. And so you graduated, you got your bachelor's from Ferris. Hence, I'm assuming that was a big part of prompting that move. And, you know, the success you've had at this level, it totally warrants it. And, you know, you saw where you ended up. But to talk about that, why Oklahoma right off the bat? I know West Virginia was in that mix. Michigan State took a visit. It sounded like you were planning on heading out to Duke. What was it about Norman? It sounded like you got there and you just felt like that was the spot.
Yeah, so it's like simple, to keep it simple, Brent Venables. Like,
there you go. That, you know what, that's not that bad of a reason, to be honest with you. That's pretty good. He
knocks your socks off, especially being a linebacker. Like, he is the defensive linebacker guru of the past 20, 30 years. So that's it, honestly.
That's not, again.
I mean, I wouldn't expect, you know.
Yeah.
Hearing that, it's like, all right, yeah, it's valid.
I'm sold, guys. Like, you don't really need to do much else. Now,
I feel like the first conversation would have to be like, holy shit, like, this really is him.
Yeah.
It's him. And it was funny because I was thinking too, like, again, you're probably not one of the flashier guys. You're not really worried about the bells and whistles that come with all the recruiting, especially being a grad transfer. I think we find that a lot with a lot of the grad transfers. These guys come in. I do all of our photo shoots here at Northern, and the grad transfers are always the guys that are like, let me get my couple pictures. I'm straight. You know, their priorities are in the right spots. Now, with that being said, walking out onto the field down there for the first time, like, that had to be pretty sick.
Yeah, it's huge. It's not like the big house where it's like all spread out and really big, you know, like kind of a bowl in the big house. And this is like straight up and down. It's on top of you.
Oh man,
it's surreal.
So sick.
Yeah,
it's 85 or 90, I think. Damn. Somewhere in there.
Damn. And I'm going through Twitter today too, and I see this video from OU football, and they were doing like the body scanning with all the muscle mass, bone density, all that. Did they stick you in that machine?
Oh yeah, I did that like last week, Tuesday or something. It's cool. I haven't got the results back yet, but I got to sit there and like break it down a little bit with the person on staff that was doing it.
I'm gonna say like full-time like dietitians and everything, man. It's pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, getting vitamins, it's all specific to you, and it's next level. Like the amount of resources. That was the other thing like that I kind of noticed going through the whole thing. Everybody's got a lot of really, really nice stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like as far as once you get to this Power 5 level. So I wasn't too worried, like you said, about getting sold on any of that. It was more like, give me around the people who am I actually going to be with every day. Let me meet the strength coach. Like spend a lot of time with that staff.
Yep.
Let me like, what's the need at my position group and stuff like that. So bells and whistles are sweet, and they're tools that are going to help me only like try to become the best athlete I can. But a lot of them they all have everything they have to compete, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
Solid answer. Answer.
I got a question. What would you? So you're down in Norman right now. You've been down there.
Oh yeah.
How long you been down there for?
Like, oh man, I think I'm going on. What's the 12th? Like this is the 4th week, maybe.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you're pretty acclimated and all that already. I'm gonna ask, what's been like the biggest difference for you so far? Like the one difference that's like stood out to you the most from, the D2 level in Big Rapids and then going to, Norman, Oklahoma. It's obviously a huge jump on paper, so I just kind of want to know
but how big really is it, right? Yeah.
So I'm gonna say, I know you asked for one, but there's two like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So
we take that.
First, like the strength staff. I don't know what you guys know about what we have at Ferris. We just got a new sweet weight room up there.
Oh, I saw it. I was actually down there shooting the GLIAC volleyball tournament, so I snuck away and took a look. It's pretty nice, man. It's a nice little setup.
That was fun. That was a blast to have. But the staff is really small. We have one guy, Coach T. He's my guy. Like, love him. Everybody does.
Shout out.
But there just isn't a huge staff. We don't have much going on as far as like help when you're actually going through the lifts and stuff. So,
yeah, it's tough.
And here, I have my own rack coach that's 45 or something. Like, he's a professional. And then there's only 8 guys, maybe 6 guys on that rack. That they're kind of 2 racks. So just the hands-on coaching and like the detail, and there's always eyes on you. And there's a little bit less self-accountability and more, we're going to make sure you do every single thing you do right. And
the rack
that
coach.
sticks out a lot. Like, but then on top of that one is the food, man. I'm eating like a king.
Really?
It's ridiculous.
Like a king. That's good, man.
I didn't, D2 life, you cook every meal for the most part. Like during the season, you get some pre-game meals or whatever and stuff like that. But like here, it's all taken care of. Yeah. I get to bring home Tupperware with some food sometimes.
Damn.
So
damn is right.
That's huge.
That is actually major. That is major.
You could have said that thing only, and I've been like,
I would say when we said what sold them is like they actually just gave me this brand new set of Tupperware when I got on campus.
I've been like, bro, that's so valid. Like I've been right there.
You know how it is, dude. Waking up every day having to figure out what you're gonna eat. Like once you take that out, there's not a lot going on.
I'm spending a band on groceries every week. It feels like
exactly, bro.
It's absurd.
Exactly.
But let's go back a little bit, and I wanted to ask, when the first time you remember sitting down, whether it be right after the season ended or after, right before you were about to get your degree, you kind of sat down and just had that moment, and you were like, hey, I've proven myself at this level. When did you decide that, you know what? Damn it, I'm good enough to go and make that jump, and I think some other schools would agree. When did you end up really making that decision and kind of, setting your sights on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So kind of, as far as it went for me, the first day of spring ball, kind of, I rolled around, and I live in a house with 8 guys. Nick Thomas been on the show. He's one of them.
Same house, huh?
Same house.
8 guys in that house.
2 bathrooms. Like it was a best time of my life. I'm not having roommates here, dude. I'm done with roommates. Like
that's wild.
That's awesome, dude. Holy cow.
So, but living there and stuff, all those guys were gone. I was the only one in the house this spring that was going to be playing. Like they were either out of their eligibility or getting a job, stuff like that. And I just I showed up to that first practice. I was like, dang, this is the first time we have to drive over to our field over there from the locker room. And I was like, it's the first time I ever pulled up alone, I think. And it's the first day of spring ball. Like usually we're all, gassed up and ready to roll. So from that moment forward, I was kind of just in a little mental spot of like, I don't know, should I transfer now? Should I wait another year and then maybe think about it? Like, should I try to ride this out one more time and be a leader on this team? And I kind of just talked to a few different people that are like important figures in my life over the course of the spring ball and behaving my best, tried to be a leader. I didn't do a whole lot during spring. Our older guys kind of go to more coaching and, working on more technique stuff. And,
I hear you.
But once spring ball got done and we had our national championship celebration after the spring game that weekend, kind of sat down with the coaches the following week, which was when the portal was open or whatever. I think it was the second week of it.
Yep.
And I just kind of told all of them what I was thinking and where I was coming. And I'd had some real conversations with them before about like me just happiness and what I wanted to do with the rest of 2 years of my eligibility. And it kind of didn't make that decision until after the spring finished. I wanted to put myself in the position to have the choice, to do what I wanted.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a pretty good way to go about it. And, you talk about like being open with your coaches through that process. And that's something I think is super important because you used to have to do that. But now,
Right.
Say you and coach don't have a rocky relationship, you just shoot an email over to compliance and all of a sudden you're scot-free. And it's like that dynamic to me is interesting, I think, to say in the least. And that's what I wanted to ask you about is that I read you had an agreement, it's like a handshake agreement with Coach Anise that, if you didn't get any offers from an FBS team that suited you or somewhere you really wanted to commit to, that you were just going to come back to the team and, it was going to be business as usual. Talk about what that conversation specifically with him was like.
Yeah, it was a long conversation, and it was lengthy, and it was more than just football. Like, it was about life, stuff like that. We've been together for 4 years, and kind of brought up like Tariq from Grand Valley and like what his situation was. And I was like, this is I just want to see what the options are for my future. And
that's a great example, actually. I didn't think about that, but very similar situation.
Yeah. So it worked out. He was super open-minded, and he was a little frustrated at one point, but I don't blame him. And I was a little frustrated at one point, but we all worked it out. He's been nothing but supportive, Coach Anise, as far as helping me with anything that I need to get cleared or making decisions. And we've open channel of communication for sure.
That's good, dude. That's really good. Yeah, I mean, that's the way you want to go about it.
Sometimes you don't know, it is kind of scary. There can be bad feelings hurt and people pissed off. And so
it's a business, right? At the end of the day, it's a business. And like losing you.
But from like an outside perspective on Coach Anise, like he's been coaching a while, he knows the old way of coaching, he knows the new way of coaching. I feel like he's kind of like he can relate to, like, you've been there, like you said, you've been there 4 years, like you gave nothing but nothing but your all for whatever, 4 years, and you guys had a real conversation, which I think is huge. Sat down one-on-one and didn't just make it something like Kobe said over an email. You had a real
that was the first thing I did before I even went to compliance.
Yeah, exactly, which is huge.
Like, guys, this is what I'm doing. I'm in there all the time. Doing Big Rapids. I'm in there watching film or just shooting the shit with them.
Yeah,
I spent so much time in that complex this spring. It was ridiculous.
I love it. But the landscape, as far as Division II football is concerned, Coach Stud last week was like, man, I hope D2 football doesn't become JUCO. And as much of hyperbole as that is and as an exaggeration, I totally understand what he's getting at because you're a great example of it. We saw the receiver Tess from Hillsdale went to Arkansas much earlier on, and then right after you leave, all of a sudden we were just talking about the 3 kids from Grand Valley that jump in the portal, and now you got Wisconsin, Texas A&M, Bowling Green. All these guys are making that next jump. What do you think about these guys? I mean, I know your answer. It's a softball question, but what do you think about these guys going out and pursuing these new opportunities at the higher level?
I can't blame him. I mean, obviously, I did the same thing, and I was the first one to do it a little bit.
He comes on here and is like, I can't fucking shit.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, the one thing that I think is a little different, I don't know exactly where those guys were, but I was like a graduate. If these transfer rules were like they used to be, I still could have done the same thing.
Of course.
Which I think kind of plays into it. And nobody at Ferris even plays in their redshirt year, like, ever.
Yeah.
For the most part. So, but there's guys that did it kind of in the mid-year too. I watched like Jake transfer to West Florida, and I watched Marcellus, another O-lineman from Saginaw I'm pretty close with. He went down to UMass, and so like I was feeling it out, and I don't blame those kids though. Like
100%.
You got the opportunity. It's just it depends on what you're trying to do with ball, honestly. But like if you just look at it from an experience standpoint, no matter how good of a football player you're not, like if you have the credentials to go play at that level, like that's just a life-changing thing.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
And especially like you said, it depends on what you want to do with the sport and with the game, like how you want that to impact your life. Because like Coach Stubb was saying last week, a lot of these, I mean, he can speak for his guys because he's been around them. Obviously, they're trying to set themselves up, their families up for like a generational wealth. I mean, that's what the league does, right? They're trying to make it to that next level, and regardless of, like you said, if that is your aspiration or not, that's just guys want to be challenged. You don't play this sport to not be challenged, to not go through adversity. Like that's what this sport is about. And I think it's easy from an outsider's perspective to take a look at a guy like you and to take a look at guys like the ones that we just mentioned and say, oh man, like commitment to teams, to teammates, to programs, like they have none of it. I think it's very easy to say that, and it's kind of a cop-out answer, and that reaction says it all. Tell me why that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, I love all those people there. Like,
yeah,
the whole cop-out thing. It's at some point there's a lot of it's a business. It sucks to say it, but you got to look out for yourself. And the only time that I think is a bad thing is when people leave and there's bad blood and they don't do it in a respectful way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would die for all those guys that are there. Like, love them to death. And I'm honestly kind of disappointed I don't get to go play with them this fall. Like,
yeah,
I'd send out a bunch of texts and stuff like that. So it's a touchy, honestly, subject for me. Like, it is bittersweet, like, even leaving, you know?
Yeah.
So
100%. I feel that. And I think that's how it's supposed to be, right? That's what this whole dynamic is supposed to be. You're with these guys, like you said, for 4 years, and then all of a sudden you go from a borderline frat house to being a bachelor in this place.
Yeah,
and
it's weird living alone.
Yeah, it's in that that makes a lot of sense, and that's a good little like anecdote from you, like that moment of realization. I'm glad I asked about that, but I mean, we talk about this with a lot of transfer guys, but your situation certainly unique. You're moving up a couple levels, right? And you're certainly going to be pushing some of these guys for meaningful snaps, right? You're not coming up there to ride pine like that. We talked about this. There are reasons you do this, and it's not just for the status of playing Division I Power 5 football. Mm-hmm. Now, what I wanted to ask is, right now, you said you've been up there for a month, whatever. How beneficial is it to be up there right now to build up that rapport with these guys before you get into camp and you're going head-to-head, like really going at it every day? Now you're going to have a little bit of that, like I said, that rapport kind of built up. Like, hey, this is my guy. We can go at it between the lines, but off the field, we know, like, we're brothers. Like, that's what it is.
Right. Yeah, no, that's huge. I mean, that's a big part of football, you know. I think that's been a reason that Ferris has had so much success lately. Like, we got 60-some dudes in there in the summer and in June already working and stuff and building relationships and stuff. But coming in here, like, that was a bit just a side note. That was another one of the big things I was looking at as far as choosing a school. Like, there was an actual need for me. I didn't want to get stuck in some spot. There's actually this service called, like, Player Football Focus. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
no,
it records snaps and tackles from everybody in college football, Division I wise. And I got a hold of the service, and I was able to, like, look at actual rosters for next fall and how many snaps are returning and stuff like that, and exactly where they are, how old they were, which was a really cool tool. Actually, one of the schools, like, did it for me as, like, a recruiting pitch. Like, here, use this. You can tell that we actually need you, like, on our team. So
I've never heard of that. That's pretty unique. That's cool.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it honestly opened my eyes. And when the coach gave it to me, it was like, okay, this is really good. That came from West Virginia. So coming in here, there's a decent amount of young guys in this linebacker room. Most of them are 19, 20 years old or even younger. And they just kind of wanted an older guy. And getting here this summer, I've already been around them for 2-3 weeks. And I got here a little before everybody had to return. But obviously, like, these guys had to report a week and a half ago. Like, had to. It's required. So getting in there and building relationships.
You mean nobody's holding out like Saquon not signing his tender?
Yeah, not the same thing. That would be a bad rap around here.
That'd be tough.
Pretty serious. Yeah,
that'd be pretty tough. But I want to say, if I was looking right, the weak side linebacker, he led the Big 12 in tackles last season.
Yep, Danny Stutzman. He's a good guy. Spent a lot of my time with him, and there's a lot to learn. And he is the one guy returning in the room that's done a lot. And there's other guys that are, like, he's playing Will, and they brought me in to kind of play Mike.
Yeah.
And in, like, a traditional 4-3 type look. And the guys that are there, they're smart, and they were highly recruited out of high school, and they just haven't played a lot of meaningful downs in games at all. So just looking to challenge them and try to earn any kind of snaps I can. You know, obviously you want to earn a starting spot, but I'm going to give it my best. And there's a lot to learn. That has been the most eye-opening thing as far as actual ball goes. Like, I'm buried in this iPad trying to study every day.
That's sick. So now you got to bring that, like, that Ferris, like, almost Big Ten-esque mindset. We gotta flip the script on this Big 12 defense narrative.
Man, it's different. There's a lot of space and a lot of speed going on.
Dude. And that's something that, I mean, you excel at. Obviously, like, you can run stuff, you can fill a hole, you have that physicality, but also sideline to sideline. Like, you're a guy that can chase these people down. And obviously, if they didn't believe that, you wouldn't be where you're at right now. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, it's a great opportunity. I'm looking
Oh,
forward to actually getting out there. We got like 2 times a week we get to go out there for an hour, and like there's a scripted basically hour practice without any
Damn.
pageant stuff. But so I'm doing a lot there, running around, getting on 7-on-7 stuff right now,
That's
just
good.
trying to soak up everything I can. It's been
That's
a
good.
lot.
What's the got two more easy ones for you. What's the living
Yeah.
situation? You say you're done with roommates?
Yeah, as of right now, I got a apartment to myself. Pretty close to the stadium. That was like the one thing I was looking for.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
want to, 5 a.m.'s early. I don't want to have to
Yeah, dude.
drive 15 minutes because
That's
this campus is a little more spread out than Big Rapids was.
Yeah.
I noticed that quick. So
Yeah. Last one for you. What kind of meals are we talking in the Tupperware? What are we bringing home?
so it's not always bring home, but every morning
yeah,
there's
yeah.
like a spread breakfast and omelet, and it's not like your like school calf
Yeah,
omelet bar. Like it's like the dude knows how to cook kind of thing. Like,
Cool.
and then there's a lunch that's like from 11 to 2 or something, and it's to die for food. Like we had pork ribs the other day that were killer. There's always wings, and then there's a bunch of healthy stuff, and
Yeah.
and then there's always like a stir fry option that you can make and customize, and it's all you can eat. It's too much.
Day
then there's
in, day
grab and
out.
go
That's
bags
dope.
after practices, and like it's stupid.
Man.
Coming from what we're from, like
Yeah, dude.
Oh, we get it. Yeah.
stupid.
100%, man. Yeah.
Spoiled kid.
Either way, man, you got a couple fans in us. I'm like really excited. And it's like you watch all the big time football games, but it's fun to watch it and have some type of connection to those guys. So I know you got 2 fans in us here. I'm excited to see what you do. I know you'll find your way out into the field somehow, even if it's a minimal role at first. I know you're going to make the most of whatever opportunity you get down there, dude.
I appreciate it, Kobe. Thanks for having me on, man.
Good luck, bro.
Of course, man.
Thanks for coming on.
Hey, nice to meet you guys.
See you, Connor. Great talk with Connor. Like I said before, like dude's just down to earth, super
dude.
relatable. I feel like
Dude.
the best story was the going from 8 dudes in a house. By the way, first of all, 2 bathrooms.
Bro, them bathrooms had to be destroyed.
That ratio is crazy.
Yeah. Those bathrooms had to be just like.
We've got, for reference, we have 5 in our house with 2 and a toilet, a separate toilet. It's a long story.
Yeah.
2 in a separate toilet, and I feel like any more that would be a little much.
Yeah, because I mean, our house is different though. Like they probably
Yeah.
have 4 people on each level
Yep.
and 2 bathrooms.
Probably true.
Like
Probably
that would be
true.
ass.
It would be ass. But let's talk about his former team, the Ferris State Bulldogs, who flew out this morning to the White House. They only got notice last week that they would actually be invited out for College Athlete Day, an NCAA event honoring the national champions across a ton of different divisions, a ton of different sports.
So how quick did they make
And
that up?
Isn't that crazy? Because I'm telling you, they only got notice late last week. The North Central coach, the head football coach for the D3 defending national champions, he said he was so surprised that his first response back to the initial invite is, "Are you guys serious? Is this real?"
Really?
That's what he said. On like some news, they had him on a news interview. I was doing a little bit of homework. So it was just like
That's
that
funny.
spur of the moment. I thought that was pretty funny. But this is a look. By the way, here's a new little look for you guys. You can see me and the screen, kind of nice. But this is a look at kind of what the event looked like. This is from the White House YouTube channel, but you can just see, pretty straightforward. That is Charlie Baker at the podium with an interpreter on the right side. But Charlie Baker, the NCAA president, just kind of giving an address about what this means. And behind him, you've got representatives from each of those national championship teams. So you can see for lack of a better term, the black guy in the black polo in the top middle there is the representative from Ferris State's football team. And I'm actually not sure. I can't see which one of them would be the one from North Central. But you'd see a ton of different teams were represented at this College Athlete Day, which was pretty cool. Now, I told you in the beginning, President Biden did not make an appearance, even though he was supposed to, and I told you it had something to do with eating a little bit too much ice cream. Can you guess? You can't, can you? He had a root canal.
Did he?
He had a root canal. A little too much chocolate chip.
Are you serious? Yeah,
And hey, in all seriousness, like that is a legitimate reason to miss something. Like that is a actual procedure. I'm not trying to make light of the situation. This is not a political show, but it's funny. That's funny, dude.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's funny. He missed it because of a root canal.
he's on the 10-day right now.
He actually, his status was promptly downgraded to questionable
Questionable.
before the event, and then right before the event started
Doubtful.
was put down to doubtful. Yep. So if we take a look at Ferris State's Twitter feed, I was going to try and pull up a picture, but their whole feed is full, just chock full of stuff from their visit here. So we're just going to scroll through and see. We're going backwards, obviously, so we're scrolling down. The flight back, it looks like they were actually with North Central right here. So this says, 2 groups of national champions flying back to Chicago.
Yeah.
Congrats to the D3 national champs, which is, that's pretty cool. But if you go down a little bit further, you've got the flight. Here's a couple of the where they were eating at, and there we go. There's a good picture of the Ferris State crew. That is their group of representatives that made it to the White House. A pretty cool setup.
Yeah.
There, it looks like they definitely
They did
for
good
as
job.
last minute as it all kind of seemed. This definitely came together. It looks like a really polished event.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what I was saying on the other episode, Kate, is like, how would you decide which guys get to go? That would be really hard, I think.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, it's probably all older guys.
Yeah.
Guys have been there for 2 years.
Captains and stuff like that. But I want to say from the article that I read, the number was 25. And so I was like, if you take starters from both sides of the ball, it's 22.
Yeah.
I imagine the special teams guys might not get a spot. I don't know.
I don't know. There's got to be some sort of way that
Yeah, I'm sure they
someone's gonna be
figured it
salty
out.
about it either way.
Yeah, they absolutely are. But that is a nice little shot of, where's my mouse, of the guys there. And then if we keep moving down here, there were a couple more that I wanted to get to, just kind of the guys interacting with some of the media. Quick interview with Coach Anise there, and the sports director down from Big Rapids made the trip down there as well. Here's some of the guys just kind of talking about the experience. But there was one picture that I wanted to find. There's flexing the rings, and here it is. This says, it's Coach Anise, the head coach for Ferris State here. A little rain never stopped the dogs sightseeing in D.C. And he is just the happiest little camper with his rain poncho on, posted up on the curb. I thought that was fucking hilarious. And I love, too, it's got the same energy as like a little kid at a restaurant where on the bar stools, because his legs aren't reaching the ground. They're just swinging.
That's funny.
There's a better look for you guys. Get a little closer, zoomed up look. But, I mean, hey, when you win back-to-back natties, that's the kind of expression you're supposed to wear.
Yeah.
Right?
Deserve it.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. And then as far as North Central goes, they made the trip as well. Now, I will say the coverage from North Central kind of lackluster. Ferris has been all over it, dude, but North Central much more sporadic in their posting. I can only really find this. There's a picture of a couple of their representatives as they made their way around DC. But I mean, like, still just such a cool opportunity. And of course, why would you post that picture? Out of all the pictures you could post,
looks like they got it off Safari.
or Google Maps.
Yeah.
Why that one? But there you are. There's a couple more of the guys. But one of I think it was actually Coach Anise said it best, and he said, this is an opportunity that over 90%, and I would argue 99% of the population will never get to experience.
Oh yeah.
Like they got to go in the White House. As far as I know, they got to get in the gates of the White House. I don't know if they went inside per se, but they got to enter the gates of the White House. Be on the South Lawn. That's where they held the ceremony. That is just, it's pretty special.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's pretty cool. Could you imagine getting the call?
Yeah, that'd be cool to go there.
Because I could not fathom that. But either way, pretty sweet for those guys. Awesome opportunity. Let's transition over to NFL, and you know what? We can start with D-Hop, right? DeAndre Hopkins, released by the Cardinals, correct? And recently took a visit down to Tennessee with the Titans. This week, he's heading over to New England, and that's a spot a lot of people have been talking about.
I just don't feel like D-Hop want to play with Belichick, dude.
I don't think so. Mac Jones just gives the most Belichick answers to it, like these pressers and stuff when they ask him about it. And he's like, yeah, he'd be a great addition, but we have all the wide receivers we need, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, you don't, pal. You had the 3rd or 4th lowest QBR in the league last year. Baker was the worst.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't, but that's bad. That's bad. It was like
Don't surprise
30.
me. It doesn't surprise me.
This is where we need Drew
Yeah.
to come to bat for him.
You have a slideshow ready.
Yeah, right? With all of his good stats.
Yeah.
That's what people do. They go and pick out all these little tiny, minute stats, and they start tweeting about shit. But have the Lions reached out? That's my question, because a lot of people have kind of thrown that around. Obviously,
they were favored pretty early to get him.
With you talking about like odds wise,
Yeah.
Okay. With J-Mo missing the first 6 games of the season as it stands, that's something that you look top down. Wide receiver 1 is pretty obvious, but then we do have some other playmakers for sure. But you could definitely argue the star power is not.
I mean, Amon-Ra.
But I'm still saying wide receiver 1, Sun God, but. From
Marvin
there,
Jones. I mean,
Marvin Jones,
the rookie out of North Carolina, will have to play some snaps.
Marvin Jones has kind of been that guy before, but he's been inconsistent with it. So D-Hop's really a proven guy. A lot of people, I know Orlovsky had said Baltimore could be a really good landing spot for him.
That'd be crazy. D-Hop and Odell.
And he actually said like the Eagles. I'm like, how can the Eagles? First of all, how could they afford that? But
no way.
When you think about what that potential wide receiving core would look like,
AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, D-Hop.
You're talking. I mean, you have to.
Pascal.
What can you do coverage-wise? You can't afford to give extra help to any of them. So there's no way that hypothetical happens.
He's at the Titans a couple of days ago.
He was, and this week it's New England. But as far as New England goes, would you like to see what Bill Belichick had to say about his plans to make it to New England?
That would really like that one.
Bill Belichick on being asked when DeAndre Hopkins will visit. You want to go ahead and read it for me, Cade?
I'm not a travel agent.
And they picked the perfect picture, too. The dude is just permanently pissed off. Shout out BR Gridiron. They said classic Bill with the skull. I mean, that's
crazy.
That's hilarious,
I did not see that. That's funny.
That's pretty good. That one cracked me up. And then there was some other news that I just wanted to comment on as far as his contract is concerned, because that's, I think, the biggest question when it comes to the potential landing spots of these teams. You can write these mock-ups all day long if you want, right? But if the money is not there, none of them will end up working. And shout out Dove Kleeman, by the way, too. I always pull up his tweets because he's always on this shit. But NFL execs, doesn't name who, what does that say? I can't read. It's too small. Digressing. Or disagreeing on wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins' contract value. One exec said Hopkins will get between $8 to $10 million on a 1-year deal. Another said that if it was March, he'd give him, what does that say, 18?
18 mil on a
18 mil on a multi-year deal. So basically, Dove isn't adding too much to the conversation. He's just saying different people have different opinions about what he's worth.
I mean, this is the thing. I think running backs are feeling it the most right now, like with Dalvin Cook and Saquon.
Saquon was talking about that.
And same thing that happened with Gardner Johnson to the Lions. Like, he thought he was going to get a lot more money, and now, yet again, he's on another prove-it deal. You know what I mean? So, like, this is D-Hop, though. Like, let's think about it. Let's take a step back. Like, this is DeAndre Hopkins.
3-time All-Pro.
He should be getting $10+ million a year in my eyes.
But he's 31 years old.
In my eyes. You know what I mean? Like,
he's 31 years old. I think that's probably a big part of the holdup.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to be a wide receiver 1 anymore.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
and I think if you're him, that's probably the most ideal situation.
But he's too humble, I feel like, to go in there and take some $6.5 million deal. Like, he won't do that. Neither will Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook won't take anything less than, like, probably $8 or $9 million a year.
That was a big deal too when he was officially cut from the Vikings. And the running back, I joked with Connor about Saquon not reporting to the mandatory camp or whatever, but he has until, I believe, July 17th is that final date for him where the two sides have to reach a deal or else something, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Right? So very interesting to see what happens there. The running back position, it does feel like has been fleeced in the last couple of years as far as deals go, but it becomes with the nature of the position, right? And I think that's just what it is, and staying healthy is always at a premium at that position on the field. Shit, look at me.
One of the running backs will get paid, and they'll just all do a domino effect.
Hopefully, that's what happens.
No, I'm saying when the NFL is not going to be, it's not going to be the same NFL forever. You know what I mean? It's going to go through.
Yeah. No, it eventually has to. You're
changes
right.
And
it definitely eventually
has to be the running backs' time to get their bag, and then they'll all get their 10 years. Or 8 years, $240 million.
But when is it the XFL's time to get their bag?
Oh, well, they're starting off in a deep hole, so they better start collecting every penny.
This year was not the year that the XFL was in their bag. The report that we've seen all over the place is that, and they call it Dwayne Johnson's XFL. Like I said, he's the public figurehead. There are a group of people that own the XFL. And when you're as popular, sorry, my back is tight. When you're as popular as The Rock, all of the success and also all the failures of your league are going to be directly attributed to you. And
magnified.
Yes, and magnified in the public eye, correct? So losing $60 million, and this was, the second coming of the revitalization of this league in 2023. And the report comes originally by Forbes' Jabari Young, who is, I don't really know who, but he works for Forbes, so it's got to be somewhat of a credible source.
How do you lose $60 million though? Like what?
$60 million.
How much did they? Oh my god, that's crazy, dude. And
the biggest impact of that is going to be cutting the workforce for the XFL, which is disappointing. But I mean, you get it. You can't afford to staff that many people. Absolutely
not. A lot of
not.
jobs.
Yeah. So that's the estimate. Forbes is the estimate, right? Now, there are optimistic projections for the future. The XFL is reportedly anticipating generating $100 million in revenue during the upcoming season. Key term there, revenue, not profit, revenue. So you take your revenue, subtract whatever your operating costs, your staff, your promotional materials, your stadiums, your uniform, all the stuff. Have to subtract that. I don't know what they'll be turning in as a net.
Yeah, I put in a T-chart.
Yeah.
Subtract the left and the right.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's what they do at the headquarters, actually. They just got a fat-ass T-chart on the wall.
They could, dude.
They don't.
It's accounting.
AI.
It's accounting, yeah.
They use AI.
They use Word Excel. Or they'd use Excel.
Word Excel? You're merging them?
Yeah.
I don't think they have it in an Excel sheet. I think they probably got something a little better.
AI? Who the hell is doing that?
I guarantee you there are people doing a majority of their accounting on it with AI. I believe it. Oh. It's a monotonous task. That's what AI is for.
I ain't doing it. I'll tell you that.
Well, what kind of accounting do you do?
101.
You almost failed it.
Oh, I didn't. I got B+.
Yeah. A miracle. But, so the biggest source of their income, it is worth noting, approximately 25% of it is from the broadcasting deal with ESPN, which pays roughly $20 million per season. And that's what we've seen across all sports. We were talked a lot about at length about the college football conferences and the way they set up their broadcasting rights deals, because at the end of the day, college football doesn't, unless you're the top upper echelon, doesn't turn over a profit.
No,
Most of the schools, our school is not making money off football. We're losing a lot of it, right? But when you get up there and you get those big-time broadcasting deals, that's where you can start to see a little bit of that financial return. Now, despite all this going on, they're still committed, obviously, to not only expanding the league's fan base, but also transforming it into what they call here a profitable venture. And definitely know what the challenges are. But the quote from Johnson here says, quote, "My goal is to get through the first season. This is not just an endeavor that's going to fill up a portfolio." Excuse me, English is hard. "And one day we flip it and we're out. This is a legacy. This is the long game." That's what he says. So this is definitely a
He did add, like I saw on Twitter, it was like there's over 75 to 100 guys are in the XFL are going to be competing in NFL training camps coming up this summer. So
that's a great point.
Yeah, that's another thing.
That is a great point, and they've done a great job at
people
just providing opportunities.
How, like, there's not like, or people always say like, hey, there should be like a minor league for football. Well, basically, you know what I mean? Like this is basically their.
And that's the problem with that I have is the people that ask for that and the people that claim to be just football fans and not NFL fans. How much support do they have for the XFL, for the USFL?
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, I watched a decent amount of XFL. I have not really turned on the USFL.
Yeah. I haven't. I watched a couple of games like the XFL with you, but nothing in the USFL really.
Yeah, because when you think about it, the USFL is picking up whatever's left, basically. Mm-hmm. All the guys from the XFL that were, I hate to say, worth the shit, are on practice squads or training camp or whatever. Right. You know what I mean? So it's a very interesting dynamic, but we can move on. This will be a pretty quick topic, but first we do have a short video to react to here from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that is because, Cade, they are bringing back the Creamsicle uniforms. And so if I pull this guy up here, we'll go full
At least I don't got to see Brady in them, bro. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Sunny Tampa Bay, Florida.
We got the makings of a classic today with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers set to take on the Detroit Lions. It's an NFC Central clash, folks, so raise the flags and fire the cannons.
That old logo's so dope.
Yeah, it looks like
the old logo is so dope. It does. It's got it's Buccaneer, right? So it's got that kind of look to it. But I mean, cool little like retro vibey, like
Yeah.
all on the vintage TV, even like the whole Lions deal. They got the updated, like the date on there. So there you go. Detroit Lions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, October 15th is the day that they will officially bring back the Creamsicle uniforms. And for those who are not familiar, potentially, not everyone knows what these uniforms look like. Here is a good look at what you can expect from the Creamsicles, and those, woo, they're like a great way to explain this. And I mean, I know there's nostalgia attached to it for a lot of people, especially a little bit older generations. They're like the best looking ugly you could ask for.
Yeah, definitely. The color is just like so bad, it's decent.
So bad, but that's exactly kind of how I feel about it. Is
Yeah.
because conventionally, I feel like that would just not really work. I mean, Tennessee would like a word, I guess, on that note. But just I think it's more the style than the color. Like, look at those stripes in the socks.
Yeah, that's not it.
What is that?
I mean,
And the jerseys themselves are
QB
so
looks
plain.
dope.
Yeah, he does, but he's got, he's accessorized up. Makes it easy. Now the flag is hard.
Yeah,
That flag and the logo itself, is really clean.
that's definitely edited, dude. That
Here is
flag in there.
no, I don't think it is. You can see the guy's foot right there. Do you see the guy's foot underneath the little guy carrying the flag right here? He's got the orange shirt on. You see my cursor?
Yeah.
He's right there. That's a dude. Where's the arrow? Is it right here? Yeah. Here's another. That's a better picture right there, I think, as far as the uniforms are concerned. How about the face masks, though? We think about that. I think the face masks are kind of hard.
Yeah, those are sweet.
Face masks are pretty dope. I can
Those are
always
sweet.
get behind some cool face masks.
For sure.
Very retro vibey, like 60s, 70s type vibes. But pretty cool stuff there from the Buccaneers. And, of course, they have to bring them out against the Lions.
Yeah, of course, right.
But, hey, I mean, we'll get to see them immediately. So, otherwise, I think that's almost about it. We got one more quick little thing to look at, and that is the new logo for the Browns. I just wanted to pull that up briefly because I thought it was pretty sweet. So I thought
Yeah,
it was
that is
worth taking a look
So
at
is that going to
here.
be on the field, too, or no?
That's a good question. So I think usually when you have this type of logo, it's like a secondary logo. So this would be something that potentially goes on in like little uniforms, or they definitely have merch. Like you can already see on the bottom right there, people are trying to sell some merch on it already. But I don't believe this is replacing their primary logo. It says here, introducing our official dog logo. I think the helmet is still going to be their official. Like that's, that's the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't going to go on the side of their helmets. It's not going to be at center field, right at the 50-yard line. But this will be something that is just kind of a secondary. And they
It could be like an alternate uni type.
it could. Like I could definitely see this going on a uniform. You know what I mean? Somewhere on a uniform. Like I said, definitely will be on merch. Definitely be used in graphic design and stuff. And I can tell you from someone who makes graphics and stuff, like having more than one
Yeah,
logo or something to work with,
Look repetitive and shit.
so sweet. But the logo itself, sick, really cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's dope.
Like very like it's a bulldog. It's a dog. I love it.
Pound.
Yeah, the collar's dope. And it's like it's Georgia, but it's not Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
It's really not. So unique enough. I thought it was
Yeah, they did a good job.
I thought it was worth mentioning, but that's all we got for today. Appreciate y'all listening, watching, whatever. Follow us, hit the store, apply to the D1R athlete program, all of the above. Thank you for listening. D1R out.